All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to So Free and Single with Z podcast. We're back for episode 3, y'all. We're back, y'all. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this show. If you've been tuning in the last couple of weeks, you have seen the shows have been dynamic. We have talked about catfishing. We've talked about last week we talked about non-negotiables and our preferences. So we talked about those things. So today we have a brand new topic. But first thing I want to do today is talk about this. Look, this is Zandra Webb. Okay. I am not a professional here. I am not a love doctor, and neither are the people that I bring on my show. We are some singles out here talking about our experiences and how we have navigated these single streets. It's work. And if you've been out here, you know. So we're talking about our experiences. So today I'm excited about our show. We're going to have some guests on today that are going to be dynamic and share some of their experiences. So what we're asking is that you engage with us today. You hop in those chats, you talk with us so we can talk back with you, give your comments, give your feedback, ask questions of me or my guests so that we have an engaging time. So I always start out with a little known dating fact, okay? Um, and they're always just interesting things that I read and that I just come across. So one of the facts that I'm going to share with you today, it says on average it takes 12 to 14 dates before couples will trade house keys. So let me find out. Are we out here trading house keys that soon? I don't know. 12 to 14 dates. That could be over the course of a couple weeks if you're really digging somebody, or that could be the course of a couple of months. So is 12 to 14 dates realistic? I don't know. I don't know if I've given someone my house key on 12 to 14 dates, but I don't know. Maybe now you want to make me go back and start counting. But that's a little known dating fact. So today, I don't want to hold y'all any longer because I'm excited about bringing on my guests for today. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but I'm going to bring them to the stage right now. Hey, y'all.
How you doing? How you doing?
Hey.
Hey, thanks for joining me today on So Free and Single with Z podcast. All right. So I want to start off today just finding out who we have with us. Lana, why don't you start off and tell us who we got?
Okay, well, I'm Lena. I live in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, and I would say that I work as a first responder and loving every moment I am living every day.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right, Demetrius, you up.
My name is Demetrius. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Actually, I work and support the engineering department in a financial service company downtown Milwaukee. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I know it's my hometown, so I'm excited about when my Milwaukee people join me.
that's right.
So, yes. All right. So let's start off today. Our topic is money, power, respects. Okay. And we're talking about dating up or dating down, if that's even such a thing. So I want to kind of get your perspective on that. And I want you to tell me what your experiences have been with that, or just in general. First of all, is it even a thing? What do y'all think? Is it even a thing to date up or date down?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Is it a thing? Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. I know of several different couples that they don't date within the same tax bracket. I myself have dated up outside of my tax bracket as well as, you know, someone who's not within my tax bracket. So it's a thing. It can work and then sometimes it can't work. But we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Okay, okay. What do you think?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
a thing?
definitely. It can work. I think as long as just the lines of communication are there, people are transparent. You don't realize, maybe it's just me, you don't realize till maybe down the road that, oh, this person is in a different tax bracket than me, or oh, this person's finances is different than mine, or whatever. But I think just having that open line of communication, that transparency will definitely maybe in the beginning. I know, in the beginning you're not supposed to just go down those lines. You're just trying to get to know each other and stuff like that. But if that transparency is kind of from the gate open, where you have those talks or whatever, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like nobody's really talking about their income the first few dates or even few months. They're kind of like just trying to get to know each other's likes and hobbies and interests and all that other stuff. So to get to that level of income is a very it's a deep conversation. It's a deep conversation. So, but I mean, can it work? Yeah, it can definitely work. Just having that understanding.
So let me ask this. So how long are we waiting to talk about income, or is it just something we kind of take those context clues, from? Are we waiting? I mean, I don't know. I've been out on some dates, and I could usually, if we've gone on a few dates, I can probably tell by just the places that we go. If I'm being honest, I can kind of tell, maybe, because I'm not a hard to please person. So if we're going out for burgers, we're just going out for burgers. We don't need to go out for gourmet burgers. We don't need to do that. But I mean, so do you discuss it, or you just kind of take those context clues in the beginning?
Demetrius, you started talking about it.
I mean, you could kind of, like, you, to your point, kind of come with ideas, like, say for instance, like, say where you work at or something like that, or to your point, like, ideas of where you want to have dates at and stuff like that or whatever. So you kind of gauge a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think just having those just transparent conversations will kind of clear everything up. But I think in the beginning, it's just where that person, what do you do for a living? And you're like, oh, okay. You kind of just say, okay, all right. They could be like, if I say my name of my company, they'd be like, oh, okay. Or they could be like, oh, okay.
Right.
But again, like, you just gotta just, like you said, ask those questions, and then maybe you can gauge in the beginning. But I think with time comes transparency and trust and stuff like that. So.
But if you say the name of your company on where you work at, you could be the maintenance person, or you could be a CEO in the company. So that person doesn't know. So I think what she wanted to know, correct me if I'm wrong, is how soon do you, disclose, where you are in that tax bracket. So how soon is that, Demetrius?
All right, we want to know.
I think with time and trust, yeah. I mean, it could be right from the gate. It could be from a couple of dates where you're like, okay, I see a future with this person. I guess it just depends on, again, that gauge of, okay, I feel comfortable letting this person in a little bit more with everything that I'm doing and where I'm going and stuff like that or whatever. So just timing at the end of the day. So,
well, for me, I'm such an upfront person. It's right out the gate for me, pretty much. I want to know what you do. What are your goals? What are your plans? On if you plan on staying right where you are or moving, up within where you are. So, yeah, for me, it's right out the gate, because I've talked to some people and I'm like, oh, okay, that's where you at.
Right.
Will you go any further? But yeah.
So with that being said, now is there something that would say that's a turnoff? So for instance, I'm a big Married at First Sight fan. Okay, right, you too. So if you're watching this season with one particular couple, soon as she found out that he lived in his mama house, she was done with him. And it's not to say that he was broke. He works a job. He handles his business. He was kind and all of those things. But she could not get past the fact that he lives in his parents' house. He's like, well, you know, when it's time for me to move, I'll move. But right now, I don't have a reason to. So that plays over in my mind. Like once they tell you this is what I do, or this is my living situation, is that a turn off or a turn on? Does it do anything for you?
Oh, is he coming to me?
I don't think that it's a turn off. Like in that situation, he's working, he's making his money, he's living at home in his parents' house. You know, if I meet someone like that and they're living at home in their parents' house, they may not want to get a home or something until they get married. Because I actually know a guy that he's living at home with his parents, and his goal is whenever him and his girlfriend gets engaged and everything like that, because he's stacking his money because he wants to pay cash for his home. And I was like, well, come on now, I like that, you know. So some people need to really get over themselves, like she needed to get over herself, you know. But yeah, so you just need to find out what their goals are, what are their plans, you know, for where they are in life right now. So.
And I think to even add to that is to verify, because I mean we have to be real. You know, like I said, in that situation, you know, he lived in the basement. They have a totally separate, like they got separate entrances to the house and everything. Like that's his own little place. And I did, you know, after I got divorced, I had went back home and I stayed downstairs with my father. But that wasn't not like I had my own little place, had my own bathroom, you know, facilities, all that stuff down there, own living room, bedroom, all that, office in the basement. But that's where I stayed because he insisted. He was like, you don't need for you to be out there struggling, you know, and just stack your money. So is that, you know, I don't know. What do you think, Demetrius? What do you think?
I you know, to agree with both of you, it's like that conversation where y'all have initially of where it seems like, okay, yeah, they have a plan where they're going towards. You know, it's 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 3 years from now, where they're saying, okay, I want to do this, but I have to, you know, maybe step back to step forward. So but as long as that conversation, open communication, kind of like what I said before, where it's like, okay, this is where I am right now, but this is where I'm going. And I think everybody should have like a little grace and a little understanding, like, okay, we've all kind of been there. We ain't always been where we were. Like we've kind of had to do stepping stones to get where we were. So eventually, like, okay, I see potential in this man or woman, and okay, they may be living with their mama right now, but if eventually we moving into our, 5-bedroom apartment or house or whatever, like we should, look at it that way versus looking at, like we're not above, like, okay, being in the basement. We've all been in the basement before. We always live with our parents or whatever. And like you said, setbacks happen. So as long as there's a thing where we're communicating and we're moving forward, like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think we do have to, you mentioned a very important word, grace, for people, because at any moment, many of us could be in a situation where we have to rely on somebody else. So has anyone ever made y'all feel less than, or, I should say, you ever dated somebody that's the baller and which you're like, okay, I didn't know in the beginning, but I like them for who they are. And it's a bonus that they got a little paper, but have they ever made you feel less than? Has anyone ever made y'all feel that way?
Yes.
Anybody want to share? Because y'all both rock. Yes. Okay.
Well, when I got a divorce, I started just trying to let go of like all what a checklist that I've had on what I wanted the guy to look like, what kind of money I wanted him to have, how old he was, or what have you. I tried to date a guy that was older than me, and he had, a little change, And so went out with him a few times. Of course, we had those discussions, and because I'm an upfront person, I asked, how much, do you make?
Oh, come on, she went straight for the neck. How much do you make? What's that payroll look like?
Exactly. And yeah, I was just like, I swallowed a little bit. I was like, okay.
Right.
You got a pretty pocket, And when we would go out, I would offer to pay or whatever, And the man actually had the nerve to say to me, you don't make what I make, so I got this. And I was like,
oh,
I'm gonna let you have that. Okay. And then so
like, I'm gonna let you pay, but I don't like what you said.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I was getting ready to buy another vehicle after my divorce. And so he was trying to school me, on purchasing another vehicle. And so by him schooling me, he took me with him to purchase a vehicle. And he purchased with cash.
Oh.
Flat out. And I was like, good for you. Good for you, But I was like, I can go and purchase a vehicle if I want to, I may not go and purchase it cash,
Right.
but I'm gonna go get me a vehicle,
Right.
and I got me a little something,
Right.
And I just didn't like the way that he made me feel about his money. So what I did was I politely dismissed myself.
Uh-huh.
I was like, you and your bank account can live happily ever after. Because I'm going to go over here with me and my bank account. Because I have my own money. Don't need yours. Don't need you to school me on nothing. I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. that like, it's great that someone is doing well. Like, I'm always rooting for somebody to do well. And if you're with me, I'm definitely rooting for you to do well, because ultimately that means we are doing well. But to make me feel less than is something else. Like, that's a feeling that's hard to shake when someone makes you feel less than.
Mm-hmm.
What was your experience, Demetrius?
And actually, I'm gonna get to it, but it kind of reminds me to your point of like how, remember when you was younger, and maybe it's a guy thing when you used to play big bank, little bank, take little bank, But like, I'm bringing that up because it was a thing of being in control or dominant or whatever the case may be, just because I make a little bit more money or I got a little bit more money in my account than you do. But in relationships, it's supposed to be a partnership. So whether you got 100,000 and I got 90,000, we got together. We're a powerhouse.
Right.
But there are people who feel like because I make this, I need to be dominant over you, or I have better control over, or I know better than you. But that's not necessarily the case. So that just made me think about that. But I digress. But
listen, I understand.
But to answer your question, there was a situation where I was dating somebody, and they found out where I worked at, or I told them, where I worked at or whatever. And they, I guess, did their little research, and we got on the subject of money. And she flat out said, like, if you weren't working where you were working at, I don't know if we would be talking. And I was just like, oh,
there's audacity everywhere.
Okay. All right. So what you found out where I was working at or what I made and this and that, then it was one of those, I guess, checks off versus maybe it was an experience. And that's another thing too. Like maybe her experience with other people was, I've always made more, so I'm not trying to look for that anymore. But it was just the way it was delivered was just kind of like, okay, all right.
So she's saying basically, I don't even know if I really like you like that, but
was it finances that really kind of keeping you around, or was it like okay, I can be stable? Because I've heard that too. Like some women look for stability. So was it okay? I'm stable with you because I haven't had that before, or whatever, or I don't want to struggle anymore. I don't know, but just the comment just was kind of like, oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of audacity, and to ever make someone feel like that, like it's because of your pockets is the only reason why I'm fooling with you, is absolutely ludicrous to me. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're gonna come back to this. This is good. Let's take a real quick break here. All right, we are back. Okay, so we're talking about money, power, and respect, and how if dating up and dating down is a thing. So I think through our conversations, we've already established that it's a thing. Okay, there are people who generally, somebody's got to be big bank, somebody's got to be little bank, somebody's standing on that wallet. Okay, but we talked about how people have made you feel about that and how negative that can be. What about, let me flip it around now. So what about if you're big bank, all right, and the person, is it okay, or how do you feel about dating somebody who is just going through a rough patch? And I mean, it's rough right now. They either recently lost their job or they've been lost their job. And what do you feel about that?
So I was in a very long-term relationship with someone that I made more money than, and they were okay in the beginning, but eventually they weren't okay with it. And they started treating me really, really bad, kind of emotionally abusive, and mentally abusive. And I had kind of fell into like a little depression, about it, because I had really loved this person. And yeah, wow. It didn't work, because they started not feeling good about themselves, and they projected that onto me. And so I started seeing a counselor, to find out, what I needed to do to get back to Lena. And so once I started getting back to Lena, they had a problem with that. And so, of course, needless to say, we aren't together anymore, but I don't wish them, no bad luck or nothing bad. I wish them all the best. I pray that they get everything that they want and that they need, but if they find themselves in a situation where the person that they're with makes more money than them, I hope that they become a little bit more mature and secure within themselves. So,
yeah. And I will say that a lot of times looks a lot different for a female, right? Because there are men, I'm not saying all men, because trust me, this has not been my experience. It's been more of my experience to the positive, I should say. But there's some men that are uncomfortable with a woman making more money than them. And they begin to, it's fine in the beginning, but then, for whatever reason, they feel like it's an issue. I don't know why, because I personally don't think I've ever made anyone feel bad for making less money than me. I mean, when I was when I had, certain positions, I try not to make it. I mean, that's what I do. But who I am is I'm just Zandra. But I know that how that can look sometimes, feel for a female. Give us a male perspective, Demetrius.
Wow, I'm glad I'm on the couch right now. I feel like I'm going through therapy right now. No, but to your point, like there is just being a male and just listening to my peers and stuff like that, it can be a thing where some guys feel resentment because they're not the quote unquote head of household because they don't make more than their companion. And again, I kind of like what I was saying before, it's like if you're not the one that's the financial breadwinner, then you're kind of looked at some type of way. Like you said, you don't know what the situation could have been. It could have been medical. It could have been you just lost your job or whatever the case may be. But going back to what I was saying before about the communication and transparency or whatever. But as far as Lena's example, like where the guy just kind of it felt sounds like more like competition. Like, okay, if I'm not making more than her, then it's a problem and all this other stuff. And going back to what I was saying, it shouldn't be. It should be like, okay, we're a tandem, we're a team. Like, okay, you may not have it tomorrow or today or whatever, but tomorrow you may have it. and we just have to balance each other out and just, push through it, versus it kind of seeming like, in my experience, man, where it's competition, and it shouldn't be. Like, it should be where we're there for each other, not, okay, you got this, kind of like the movie Soul Food back in the day, where the guy was saying, I just borrowed some money, and she was like, oh, 77,400 is yours. Like, don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. But,
Right.
it should be more okay, we just need to talk it through. I think it was just communication that it should just came down to, versus you saying, I make this, you make this. Like, that's always going to be a problem in a relationship if y'all competing with each other. So
yeah, I don't ever want to compete with my significant other. Like we got to work together. I mean, we should be able to take up for each other's, anything that I have a void in my life. I want someone who is going to be able to fill in those empty spaces, and I be able to do the same for them. We kind of, between the two of us, we should be able to walk this out together. But if we're in competition, that's never gonna work.
Yeah.
So I'm taking in all of this. So now this kind of takes me to another question. So who pays for these dates? Because that's the way it gets a little juicy, and it gets a little, now we're out there, and somebody's big bank, somebody's little bank, somebody's standing on their wallet, somebody's not. Okay, who's paying for these dates? How does that is it supposed to look a certain way? What do y'all think?
So why can't both people pay for the dates? So if I invite you out, I can pay for it, because if I say, hey, I want to go to such and such and such and such, I should be willing to pay for it if I'm inviting you there. Now, if you're, real persistent about paying for some part of it, okay, that's fine, but I'm inviting you, so I want to pay for it. Now, if you invite me out and then, we're going somewhere that you wanted to go to, then yeah, go ahead and pay for it, because obviously you've looked at where we going, how much this, that, and another is, and, you're going to pay for it. And the same thing for me. So
yeah, and I know as a woman, sometimes we, depending on how we're raised or brought up, a lot of women feel entitled, like, okay, hey, we going out, the man pays for everything. And I personally am not of that school. I'm kind of what you say, Lena. If I invite you, I mean, I'm not expecting you to pay. If you insist, I'm gonna let you. But
right, about it.
Right, because I'm a lover, not a fighter. So if you insist, I'm gonna let you. But I mean, that's the thing. There are women that strongly believe that the men should just pay for it, or if even it's a first date, the men's gotta pay for it. And I'm like, it just depends on who invites who out, Exactly. What do you think, Demetrius? What
I'm in complete agreement. Like it should be, who initiates the date. It should be. But I do see both sides where the guy feels like, okay, I'm the man, this is that, I should be able to pay. But to be honest, and I don't know how many guys will agree with me, we like to be spoiled too. Like, we like to be like, okay, oh, you got it? Okay, all right, girls, go get it. But I mean, in those gender roles, like, you kind of like what we were saying before about, the breadwinner and all this other stuff or whatever, depending on how you raise that, kind of funnels over into, relationships and stuff like that. But I agree with you. Like, it should be initially like, okay, who invited who out? Like, it should be like that. But depending on who you date, it's not always like that. So,
and I can imagine. So, I mean, but for me, that's a big deal. Like, I don't have to have. So let me throw out another scenario. Say someone says, you met someone. Online dating is a big thing now. And or just meeting people. Maybe you met someone through someone else, and your first meetup, you decide, okay, let's meet. And the person says, we should go Dutch for our first meetup. What do you feel about that? What do you think?
If it's our very first meetup, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't really know you. You don't really know me. There's no real big expectations. You're going to pay for your meal? Okay, I'll pay for mine. That's not an issue for me.
Absolutely. Oh, I see a comment coming in because I think that's how it should be. If we're both interested in each other, then we should both invest in the relationship. I like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I mean, we should. I mean, this is a mutual experience here. So you agree with that, Demetrius? But the Dutch thing, let me hear what the man's got to say about this.
Yeah, the Dutch thing is cool with me. Like I said, I'm all me, who I am, who I was raised. I'm always going to insist, in the beginning and stuff like that or whatever. That's not a problem for me, or even in general. Like, I have no problem doing that. But yeah, if she's saying no, I want to do Dutch, because there may be some women that think, okay, I don't want you to feel like I owe you or anything like that or whatever. So cool. Yeah, we go having a steak. That's fine. Yeah. But eventually, like I said, I think from knowing each other and growing and communicating and stuff like that, then like I said, we should be able to spoil each other, kind of what she was saying, invest in each other. We should, love on each other, spoil each other. Like, it shouldn't be again, a competition thing. It should just be like, oh, I got it this time, or oh, got it. And it's kind of cute to say, like, no, put yours away. I got it. No, you got to be faster than that. So,
wow. But hey, don't be out here telling these ladies that you'll take care of that first date or so. You're going to have them in them chats and them DMs. Wow. Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with it. If that's something, and I do think that's something that you need to discuss beforehand. Okay, don't just show up. Now, mind you, I was always taught you don't go on a date without a little something in your pocket, regardless. Don't assume anything. Mm-hmm. But if that's the arrangement, we need to talk about it, because maybe you don't know my pocketbooks. You might be trying to go to get a big restaurant here. You might be trying to go to Three Forks, which is a nice little pricey restaurant here in Dallas. And talk about we're going Dutch, and where you could easily spend $150 a person, and this might be the day before payday or something. So you can't spring that on me when we're walking up to the restaurant or when the bill comes, and I'm like, wait, I didn't have that much. But it's something that you need to definitely discuss, because that may change where you can go. And if we said, like we said earlier, that someone you making more money than someone else is not an issue, that person just may not be able to afford that. So being practical about what you do makes a difference as well. Okay, that definitely makes a difference. So okay, so we've established that it's okay that they may not make as much money, and it's established that it's okay that they make more money. When is it an issue? When is either scenario an issue?
When the person's not secure with where they are in life, that's where the issue comes in. On either side, either the male or the female. So that's if jealousy kicks in, because like the competition thing that Demetri was talking about, I'm not in a competition with you. If we're in a relationship, we are a team.
Right.
So let's build together, So let's start where we are, regardless on who's, on top or whatever, or even if we're right here, let's make a plan so that we can keep building and move forward and higher within, where we are. So.
Okay. When does it become an issue for you, Demetrius? When is that an issue, the dating up or dating down?
And my disclaimer is, this is not a thing where like this is happening or going to happen or whatever the case may be. Right? But so I think it would be an issue where, say, for instance, let's say Lena, for example, since you're here, say she makes more than me, and I'm not saying, again, this is just an example, but say she feels like I'm the man, so I should pay more, even though I make less. Makes sense? So I should be the one paying majority of the bills because I'm the man, versus it being a thing where, hey, like, I'm making more, you're not making as much, but let's figure out how these bills are going to get sorted out or whatever, versus you trying to, stress about how you're going to do it because you don't make as much as I do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I like that, because that kind of springboards me into kind of another question here. So you've gotten to this point in your relationship and you guys decide to move in together or live together, or, that's the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Is everything 50-50 or is it proportionate?
Right.
Right. What do you think about that?
Like, I think that should honestly just be a conversation where, okay, we're trying to, we're being together. We have this lifestyle. Does this lifestyle, is it something that, like you said, is it something that we can both agree, okay, to maintain this lifestyle, this portion belongs to me or this portion belongs to you, or how are we going to work this out so we can, continue this lifestyle or continue whatever we're trying to do moving forward. So if Lena makes 100,000 and I make 50%, it's not looking like 50% right now. It's looking like I can't do all that, but I can do this.
Right.
To do what you're doing is probably not going to work until maybe I get, on that level, or like I said, we just do something different. But that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. Like, it shouldn't be assumed that, okay, you pay this, I pay this, or whatever. Like you said, let's talk it through.
Yeah, Lena, is it 50-50 or proportionate for you?
I mean, like he said, it is a conversation that you have to have. And then who's moving in with who, if that's the case, Are you moving into the man's place or whatever? Or are you moving into the woman's place? So in my previous relationship, that long-term relationship that I had, I paid the mortgage and the car notes, and they pretty much paid the utilities,
Okay.
and I built the savings account. So yeah, but it was a conversation that was had. So on who paid for what, and yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna pause right here. Let's take another quick break, because I got a few more things I want to ask. So let's take a quick break. All right, we are right back. Okay, because I want to jump right back into this. So we're talking about money, power, and respect, and we're talking about dating up or dating down, and if that's really a thing in a relationship. We've talked about that. We believe that is a thing, to date up or date down, but we're also talking about how it affects that relationship. Are there things that are deal breakers with that? Are there how we make people feel? So we kind of dove into, now what if you get to that serious point? You know how much each other makes, because you've been dating for obviously long enough to say that we're going to move in with each other and we're going to cohabitate. But do we pay bills proportionately, or do we go 50-50, or are we of the school of the man pays all the bills? We back at the traditional. I didn't throw that one in there before. Okay. And my guests have shared today, Demetrius and Lena have shared like that, that's a discussion. Okay. So let's talk about what that discussion looks like. Okay. So we're excited, baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. Okay. I think we should move in together. I think so too. I think that's a great idea. All right. And so, let's talk about how we're gonna, we can share this. All right, great. How does this conversation go? Do you say, so you got half I mean, how does this go? How does it go? How would this go for you, or how have you experienced this going? I got some thick waters over here.
Yeah, I mean, it can be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's one that needs to be had overall. As far as like maybe just like you said, just say for example, you moving in, and like you said, you're going over bills and stuff like that, and okay, what's old, and usage of how say groceries are eating up or stuff like just those type of things, and some stuff is just you're gonna just learn as you go. But at the end of the day, like when it comes down to like maybe that initial couple of months, you're just pretty much trying to figure each other out. Like, okay, spending habits, like how they're using their energy, or how they spending money on cable, and just maybe some stuff that you may say is frivolous, but they may say, okay, I need that. But like I said, just going through and saying, okay, especially if we trying to go on a trip or something like that for 6 months or whatever, right? Like those are stuff that needs to be had. Like I have a thing where we feel like, or I feel like there should be, say, 3 accounts. There should be the account for the bills, there should be account that you're saving, and then the account for when we want to do trips and stuff like that or whatever, and what's going in what. But at the end of the day, if that bill account is getting used towards other stuff, we need to talk, because and you're familiar with this, Andrew. If We Energies comes and turns off everything,
right.
And it's because you decided to use money towards some boots or something.
Right. What is called? You're gonna need those boots because the body's off. You're gonna need the feet warm. So what if I'm gonna put myself in a scenario. So I make 25,000 because I'm just getting on my feet. I took up a receptionist job, and I'm just trying to get on my feet. Life is hard. Life is this. And Bae makes $100,000 plus a year. And we decide we are in love. We are in love. We love. So we gonna move in together. And it's time to have this bill pay conversation. Because my apartment looks a lot different than your house. So I'm moving in with you. So how do you hold me accountable in this? I mean, I just make a little bit, but you love me. How do you hold me accountable? Or have you already broke up with me because
you make 25,000?
Or do we just not go together all together?
So what are you paying currently? And that's the conversation that you have to have. What type of bills are you paying now? Are you just paying for your rent and your utilities? Do you have a car note? How are you actually doing this on $25,000? You must manage your money real good. If you're paying all of that. So, because reality, some people that make a lot of money don't even manage their money. So, and some that don't make a lot of money, they manage real good. So like we've been saying, communication. Hey, what we doing here? Are we gonna turn? Are we at a point in our relationship where we're gonna turn 2 households into just one? Mm-hmm. So, what are you paying right now? What are you making? Do you think that you can handle paying this utility, that utility, and your car note if you have one, and your insurance? If you can't handle paying your insurance and coming over here and paying some utilities, just let me know. Then I'll take on to that insurance. Maybe I can add you onto my insurance, so that we can move into those steps. Because if we're going to move into the point where two households become one, that means, and we haven't taken that step to where we just locking it in for life as a married couple, that means that we are moving in that direction if we're going to make our households into just one. So then, well, maybe we can combine certain things into one. So, yeah, conversation, like we've been saying. What can you pay? What can't you pay?
So it's not a deal breaker. You're not breaking up with me because you found out that I just make
25,000.
Right. Because I mean, I just want to know. I mean, do we still go together? Demetrius, do we still go together at this point?
We still good. We still good. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna smooth this out, and you know, kind of go from there. Again, it should be a learning curve. It should be something where, like you said, that conversation, like Lena was saying, from day one, if I already know you make 25,000, then I should know that, okay, us moving in together, I'm gonna be the one that's paying majority. But like you said, like Lena asking the questions, like, okay, what can you do? How can you contribute, or how are you gonna, how are we gonna, do what we need to do to keep this going? If I'm moving, you moving in with me, or whatever the case may be, or if us moving into a house, or whatever the case may be, like what that looks like. Like let's plan that out. Let's do it to where both of us are comfortable with it, or even if we ain't comfortable with it, like there'll be times where maybe a medical expense comes up, or some emergency something comes up, and we just gotta, have that conversation and talk it through, versus hiding stuff. And that's another thing too, just not being transparent, like just
hiding,
keeping, stuff. And and again, it's a hard conversation, but it's like one where you just like, babe, I need to talk to you, man.
Right,
this happened, or I'm going through this. But to not say nothing and then let it kind of snowball into something to where now all of a sudden our backs are against the wall, where it could have been maybe avoided or whatever. Like, again, just having that transparency.
And I see a comment coming in. Yeah, that's why I'm not moving until we're on our way down now. And I get that. I absolutely get that, because, man, I've been in both scenarios. Of course, dating someone at two different residences and dating someone that I lived with, and both were two very different experiences. Because I was on an opposite end sometimes of what that looked like. One time where I was the one making more, and then there was other time where I was not. I was definitely not the one making more. So I've been on both ends of that. And of course, out of all of those scenarios, what I wanted was that communication. And I can't say that I was great about it at all times. I wasn't, because when you are the one making less, sometimes it even though that person cares about you, that person, you have that love for each other, but you feel like sometimes the burden, like, man, this is going to cost this now, and I really don't have it, and I really need to go ask and say something about it. But you feel like, man, am I a liability at this point? And even though it may be something very much beyond your control, I understand why some people hide those type of things. And I'm not talking about the I bought 5 pair of shoes. Okay. that's a different kind of hide. Like, yeah, you playing now. But that hide, I got this expense here. What about the people that have debt? Because I mean, what you make is one thing. Would it be a deal breaker somebody that has debt, like a significant amount of debt?
It's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
It's not. Because heck, I got debt.
Okay.
But once again, like we've been saying, it's a conversation. How are you managing or handling that debt? Mm-hmm. Do you need some help? On managing that. It's a conversation.
Okay.
It's not a deal breaker for me.
Not a deal breaker. Okay.
I agree. And again, just having, like you said, that transparency where it's like, okay, where are you right now? Versus, again, just trying to hide it, and then it eventually comes out or unfolds or whatever, or you sneaking and finding out stuff or whatever, and just it could have been just something that you just find out like from the get-go. Like, and again, it's a hard thing to do. Like, there's pride involved, there's embarrassment, there's a lot of things to go with it. But if it's you and I, then you and I should be able to talk about anything and everything, and have that uncomfortable conversation and move forward. So
does it make a difference though with that? Because I get, like, for instance, me and Sally Mae, we probably till the death do us part. Unless, somebody hit delete in the system. Me and Sally Mae probably till death do us part. I got 3 degrees, so we'll just leave it at that. But what if that, we're talking about, reckless debt, or, I got gambling debt, or I got child support debt. Ooh, what that look like? And that could be a male or a female. Yeah. So is there a difference because of what debt I have?
In a community property state, your debt is my debt. So I'm either going to find out from you, or I'm going to find out eventually, because they're going to start garnishing me because of you. So like, just have that conversation. Just like really just be, open and honest about it. And again, like Lena said before, like, if from the beginning, like, okay, I know this person is a gambler, likes to go to casino, and you watching, you like, okay, all right, you go to casino a lot, either because you got it or because something else is going on. But yeah, just let's talk about it. Let's like I said, especially if I'm interested in you, like, and I'm giving you the grace and the understanding or whatever, meet me halfway, talk about it. So.
Okay.
And if someone has like child support ain't forever.
That's true.
I do know some people who have back child support, but that still ain't forever. What do you need to do to catch up? Let's see how we can work that out so that you can catch up. And then how much longer do you have to pay on that child support? How old are your kids? Gambling debt.
Let's be real about it. Yes, let's talk about that. A comment here says, I would say yes, it depends on the type of debt that you have. So let's be real and raw about that. Gambling debt.
I'm seeing a lot of scratch offs and just lottery just slips all over the place.
Right.
We don't talk about that.
Right. But you need help on your rent.
That can be an issue. Gambling debt, yeah, that can be an issue. I knew someone who came to me and asked me if they could borrow some money, because they used to go to the casino 2 times a week, and I'm just like, don't you have a job? I mean,
right.
And I know there are no casinos around here, but they would drive to Oklahoma 2 times a week. And yeah. And so I knew that we weren't going to do nothing.
Right.
Because he said that he wasn't gonna stop. He didn't care. He always had issues with paying his rent because of his gambling. And I am a coach, a life coach and professional development coach. And so I would actually try to coach him into having some other type of alternative for entertainment, but he wasn't trying to hear. So I was like, oh, well, yeah, you're beyond my scope. So you need some other kind of help. So, yeah, I just politely dismissed myself. And prayed for him, prayed for the best for him. So, but yeah, gambling debt, oh my God.
See, and I have to agree that, and here a comment, gambling is a no. I'm not about to take up your debt. Yeah, so I think at this ripe age that there are a few things that I would have to say, because like you said, we talked all about that. A lot of this has to do with communication, and this person is communicating up front. I'm a gambler and I'm not going to stop. Okay, so that would be a thing for me. I think certain, especially if you're not handling it. I know some people who gamble regularly, but they got it like that to be thrown away, and they get but I still would think I would have a problem with it, because if there ever was a huge need and you're like, well, I can't meet the need because of my gambling, that would be an issue for me. So I would say there are some things, and even the back child support thing. How did you get in the back child support? Because I got more questions. It was because you just didn't care at one point, or it could be, I know there are varying situations. There could be, baby mama decided today on the child's 17th birthday that we're going to charge you all the way back to birth. Even though I still have a question, like, you didn't think it was cool to pay it up until that point, but you put a little 5 on it. I got questions, but I do think it does make a sense.
It could be that they just found out about the child,
and that's true too. So yeah, I would have to know that. And I see another comment. Yeah, he shows that he's irresponsible and doesn't have right. If you're just showing me you're irresponsible, and that means that's going to carry over into the rest of our relationship. I don't know, but and granted, not to say I ain't done some irresponsible things too. Let's be clear. I mean, I have done some irresponsible things, but if I know you just don't care, you're just gonna be flip with it. That may be that may be something that I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna be on the same wavelength, because we gotta both be wanting to do better, right. and that would be a big deal for me. So I want to wrap this up with, I know I said this time goes quick. I want to wrap this up with, what advice do you have, just circling in general, about dating up or dating down? If you had to tell somebody one thing, or it could be more than one thing, but one thing, like, to just keep in mind, what would be their takeaway from this?
Demetrius.
I would say transparency. I would say grace. I would say just having that understanding. Like, especially if it's someone you're interested in. If you're not interested in them, then you just take what they're saying and saying I understand, and as Lena would say, I'll remove myself. but like if it's somebody that you feel like got potential, or you're saying, okay, I understand the situation, I've been there before, or like you said, I get it, then just give them that grace, that understanding, and just be transparent on both ends. It shouldn't just be, I'm transparent with you and you hiding stuff from me. It should just be transparency on both sides. So
okay, all right, what's your takeaway, Lena?
I would say, if you're involved in a relationship with someone, that, be it if they're up on the tax bracket or on the lower end of tax bracket, be mature, be secure, and communicate.
I like that. Be mature, be secure, and communicate. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Well, let me thank you both for dropping in today and talking about this topic, because that's a thing, dating up. We sometimes think we're the only ones that deal with those situations of having to deal with the situation where someone makes maybe less or makes more, but it could work if we communicate. It doesn't have to be a situation where we don't communicate. So thank you so much, Lena. Thank you so much, Demetrius. And I'm going to close out today. And just closing out today, just want to thank you all for joining us. And thank you for those who joined in the chat with us. We will be back next week talking about Cupid clearly has dial-up. We're going to be talking about online dating, specifically online dating. And let me tell you, I can't wait to talk about online dating, because, I've tried it recently, and oh, bless it. So I can't wait to talk about this next week, and the experience of my guests, as well as just some tips on here to see, is it worth it or is it not worth it? But thank you all for joining us today. Again, thank you for the conversation. We hope to see you back next week for episode 4 of So Free and Single with Z. We enjoyed you today. Have a great evening.